Hello my friends, welcome to Ride Review. My name is Tyson and this is the Haoqi Camel. This is a long-tail electric cargo bike. Nice approachable step-through frame here. This is a dual battery setup. You got one behind the seat post here and then another in the down tubes. You can just get a massive amount of range on this thing. The stem folds down here for easier storage. It's got the smaller 20-inch wheels here, so pretty small for a cargo bike that can actually carry 450 pounds. Pretty impressive. Now, if you're not familiar with the Haoqi brand, well, you're not the only one. They're relatively new in the e-bike space. They sell mostly direct to consumer, which means if you get one of these, you're going to have to set it up yourself after you get it, or take it to a local shop and have them do it for you. Now, it's pretty easy to set up, but keep in mind I've set up hundreds of these things at this point here, so I'm getting to be pretty good at it. This one's a little bit on the heavy side, so keep that in mind. Having an extra person could be useful. Now, Haoqi does have a really nice warranty. They do a 2-year all-inclusive warranty, and then they've recently released a 3-year warranty for batteries. Now there's some caveats to it, but essentially it's so that if within the 3-year period your batteries lose a lot of capacity, like they're down to less than 70%, having other problems with them, you can get those replaced for free, which is a sweet deal because batteries can be really expensive. Okay, let's do just a quick kind of overview rundown of the Camel here. Now this is a long tail design, right? We've got this nice long frame out here behind the seat, which gives you a lot bigger of a rear rack platform, really opens up the possibilities for carrying cargo or passengers on it. But still, this is not too long of a bike, honestly, compared to a lot of other long tail cargo bikes on the market. This one can take up a little bit less storage space on here. It helps to have these smaller 20-inch diameter wheels on here. Now these don't roll over obstacles as well as a bigger maybe 26-inch wheel might, but this still does pretty good. And with their the 4-inch wide wheels on here, fat tires, nice volume of air, so let's provide a good amount of riding comfort. They've done a nice job with their electronics integration on here too. You don't see a whole lot of cabling or anything for the electronics, and the stuff that you do have up here on the front, very nicely wrapped up and managed here. So it's just a nice sleek look to it. I really like this bright orange color too. This will help it to really stand out. So if you're riding at night or really any time of the day, it makes it easier for drivers to see you, always a plus. And if you want this to take up even just a little bit less storage space, then you can fold the stem down. So you can pop this out here, and then the stem just folds over like so. So this is more about reducing the horizontal footprint, right? You don't have the handlebars sticking out to the side. A little bit more compact. Obviously it's still a pretty big bike, but it is surprisingly well balanced. There's this sort of a carry handle type thing in the center of the frame here, and if you lift it up by the frame, I mean it is heavy. It weighs about 87 pounds, but it's nice that it is actually well balanced like that, so that you can pick it up. And if you were to take the batteries off of here, that's going to save you maybe 20 pounds of weight. So if you do need to carry it up and down the stairs, or maybe put it on a bike rack behind your car, then definitely take the batteries off first. I also like that they included the rear stand here, way better than a kickstand, especially for a cargo bike, because it sits up stable, it's upright, very easy for loading cargo on it. It's also really nice for chain maintenance. You can pedal backwards here if you need to lube up your chain or tune your derailleur. This makes it a heck of a lot easier than having to lean it over on the kickstand or get a second person for help. Okay, so let's talk about the fit on this thing, right? And I've mentioned it's a little bit on the small side for a cargo bike. It's definitely designed for smaller riders. If you're big like me, 6 feet 3 inches tall, I feel way too big for this bike. Some of that is just the really short seat post. I mean, I have it up at the maximum extension already, which is not very high, and as you can see, I just can't get my legs fully extended, not even close to it. So pedaling doesn't feel great on here. It feels a little bit too small for me. It is still remarkably comfortable. You've got this nice upright seating position, which definitely helps a lot. And then as far as ride comfort goes, there's also these tires have a big volume of air. You've got a suspension fork up front. Now this is a pretty basic fork. You can adjust the preload, that's about it. 100 millimeters of travel here, spring fork. So it does actually really help to smooth out the ride a bit, but it's not meant for off-roading and everything. It's not a super high performance. And you've got some suspension in the rear too. You've got a suspension seat post in here. This is a pretty basic one from Pro Max. You get maybe 30 millimeters of travel, and it helps out. Every little bit helps, but again, this is not meant for any serious off-road riding. So let's talk about this as a utility bike, as a cargo bike. bike. There's really a lot that you can do with it. You've got the mounting points on the front up here, so you could put some kind of a rack or basket on the front, and then over in the back it's kind of the same story here. You've got mount points, so you could put in some pegs, you can put in the running boards with the extra mount points on here, so if you want to, you know, either like the flat boards just to put more cargo on here, foot pads for, you know, maybe you want to put some kiddos in the back. There's a lot of accessories for on top of the rack back here too, for carrying more cargo or having the guardrails for carrying passengers. You know, really, I guess my only, as far as the, you know, the utility of this bike goes, the only downside for me is that you're gonna have to invest in some other accessories for it to really make it useful. The base frame like this, you know, very sturdy, great starting point, but you know, you can't really carry a lot of cargo on here without, you know, you maybe need some pannier bags, you know, you need the extra, like a box on top, or the rails for your kids or something. So you're gonna need some kind of accessories to use it, but you know, what accessory you get is gonna depend on how you want to use this bike, of course. And so you can get accessories from Haoqi. You can get them at local bike shops all over the place. You can make your own pretty easy, which could actually be really fun. And you know, honestly, for, you know, what you're paying to get started with this bike at $16.99 for a, you know, a good solid long-tail cargo bike, pretty fair price. Okay, we're going to talk about the pedaling drivetrain on the Camel here. Now this is, I think, probably the biggest area of improvement for this bike. This is the thing where I think you could, you know, just a few changes could really just make it an exceptional ride. Now the derailleur on here, Shimano tourney. This is, you know, entry level from Shimano, nothing fancy. The cassette, it's not a cassette, it's a freewheel back here, which is not as high quality as a cassette. This is the MFTZ 500-7, so this is a 7-speed, very low range on this. You know, we're working with 14 to 28 teeth, so you don't get a whole lot of pedaling range on the high end or on the low end. And then when you couple that with the 46 tooth chainring up here at the front, what that translates to is you don't get a lot of high-end speed. You know, that can mean a lot of ghost pedaling if you're really trying to go fast. Now, this is supposed to be a class 3 bike, which means a top speed of 28 miles per hour, but it was cutting out at 20 miles per hour for me, and I wouldn't be able to pedal much faster than that anyways because of the limitations of this pedaling drivetrain. My feet were already going very fast at 20 miles per hour, so, you know, a few more and I wouldn't have been able to keep up, and we start getting the ghost pedaling, which is not a good time. Another thing about the pedaling drivetrain is that it is a cadence sensor. Now the cadence sensor magnets are, you know, fully internal down here. It is a sealed sensor, which is good, but it just isn't very responsive. You know, when you ride on a torque sensor, it responds to how much pressure you put on the pedals. It's a lot more engaging, a lot more satisfying to ride on. The cadence sensor is just kind of, it's on or off, and there's a delay too. When you start pedaling, you pedal a few times before it kicks in, and then it's just full power based on your pedal assist settings. So speaking of the pedal assist settings, I got to move into the shade so that we can see the display here. I really like this display, actually. It's quite easy to see, you know, even in daylight. Stands out pretty well, backlit LCD. So you get 5 pedal assist settings. That's you're right here in the center. Starts at 1 when you turn the bike on. And when you're in pedal assist level 1, you're going to be limited to about 10 miles per hour, and that's whether you're using pedal assist or you're using the throttle, right? And so then if you want to go a little bit faster, you know, you can bump that on up to 2. You can get up to probably like 15 or so. You know, and on up all the way to level 5. Level 5 is where you can unlock the maximum top speed of the bike, which they say is 28, but you know, for me it's been 20 so far. But the thing is with level 5, it's very powerful at the lower ends. So if you're, you know, just starting out, you know, from the stoplight or something, level 5 is a little bit much on the acceleration, and so you're probably going to want it down, you know, level 1 or 2 starting out, and then you have to flip it up if you want to go faster. So the point that I want to make for this whole, you know, pedal assist setup is that it requires you to be fiddling with the display a lot. You're constantly having to change your pedal assist levels, and it's the same on the throttle as well. I would really like to see this change where, so here, let me come down to level 1 pedal assist. If we hammer on the throttle, we get up to, you know, 12 miles per hour, and then that's it. So if you're riding in a low level of assist, like say, you know, level 1, and you're pedaling along, and then suddenly you want to use the throttle because you need to accelerate to avoid a collision or make the light or just, you know, pass somebody, you have to change your pedal assist level higher, and then you can use the throttle and get a bump. Otherwise, you know, you hit the throttle and you're just not going to get anything because you're already going around 10 or 12 miles per hour. Well, we're up here. Let's run through the rest of the electronics here. As for the most part, I'm a big fan of the setup on here. You know, I already mentioned we've got the 5 levels of pedal assist here, a nice big like 10-bar battery meter at the top of the display here. So it's actually pretty precise in terms of seeing how much capacity you have left, especially if you're, you know, running with both batteries. I mean, you should be able to get at least 80 miles of riding range if you have both of them in here. Okay, this display is nicely adjustable for angle here. It's not removable, but you know, you can move it, you know, kind of back out of the way if you need to. When you're storing it, get the nice, you know, perfect angle for yourself where you like to ride at. The throttle is this half grip twist over here on the right grip. You know, it works well. Don't really have a whole lot to say about that. What I'm a big fan of is just the lighting and electronics controls over here on the left grip. So you have a headlight control up on the top. This is a very motorcycle-esque grip, which is nice. If you've ridden a motorcycle, you'll be used to this layout of controls. So you can flip on the lights. Nice bright headlight, 4-beam LED up here in the front. This thing is super bright at night. And you've got a very nice tail light as well that, you know, even in daylight here, we can see that it's on. And it has brake light activation. So if I squeeze these brake levers, then it lights up even brighter. Great safety touch. And there's blinkers on here as well. So we can, you know, turn on the left blinker here. The blinkers are only in the rear and they are not very bright. You can barely see it right there. So this will be nice at night, but during the daytime, you know, definitely still use your hand signals, especially because there's no blinker on the front. Let's go ahead and turn that blinker off. The horn on here is awesome. I mean, it is like ear-splittingly loud. So this will get somebody's attention. This is loud enough that people in a car can hear you, you know, not just other cyclists or pedestrians. So definitely a nice safety touch there. So I think about the only component on here we didn't talk about is the brakes. These are Gemma hydraulic disc brakes, which I haven't ridden this brand before, but they feel solid. I mean, they feel nice and sturdy. You've got the big old 180 millimeter rotors on here, motor inhibitors built in. They feel awesome. And it's plenty of stopping power for, you know, a bike this big. When it weighs in at, you know, almost 90 pounds by itself, and then you figure, you know, you've got yourself, and you can carry up to 450 pounds on this thing. So you definitely want powerful brakes like this. Almost forgot to, you know, talk a little bit more about the batteries and the motor. So, you know, let's do that real quick. I've got both of the batteries removed right here. This is the one that goes, you know, into the down tube. It sits right in the top right here. I actually kind of like having it in the top of the down tube better than some bikes that put it in the bottom here, because you don't have to worry about it, you know, accidentally falling out when you're trying to remove it. This is just a little bit more stable. You still get that nice low center of gravity. This one is the smaller of the two. They're both 48 volt, but this one's 10.4 amp hours. So, you know, a little bit, this is, I guess, like a standard capacity battery, if you will. And then this one, this is the big boy, 48 volts, 17.4 amp hour. So this is quite a lot of power, like by itself. You know, this will definitely get you a ways. Although if you are riding with only one of the batteries, I would stick with this smaller one, just so that it, you know, closes this up. You don't want this exposed to the elements, getting dirt in there or anything like that. The housing for the back battery back here is just, you know, a little more contained. Also, this one's got a USB port on it right here, so you can pop this out. So if you want to, you know, plug in your phone, charge while you're riding, or even sort of use this like a portable battery bank, you can do that. Now, one thing I do want to call out on these batteries here is that I don't know yet if they are UL certified. So UL is the like safety certification for e-bike battery systems to, you know, make sure that they're safe and you're not going to accidentally burn your house down. So I've reached out to Haoqi to ask, you know, if these are UL certified, what they're using for their cell sources. And so I'll, you know, put an update in here once I hear back from them. And then the motor, of course, is a rear hub motor back here in the rear wheel. And it is a Banks motor. I've never used their drive systems before, but it's a 750 watt motor here. So it's a, you know, when you have this smaller 20-inch diameter wheel especially, that provides a pretty good amount of torque, especially when you're up in level 5. Like, this is a good amount of acceleration. You'll be working it pretty hard if you're loading down, if you've got 450 pounds of total weight on here. It'll, you know, that'll slow it down somewhat, but it should definitely be up to the task. Really, the only thing that I noticed about this motor compared to, you know, similar stuff from Bafang is that it's kind of loud. You know, it's noticeably louder than the standard, you know, hub motor. It's, you know, not ear splitting or anything, but if you've ridden other e-bikes, you may notice the difference. All right, it is warming up out here. Perfect timings. We're going to take the Camel out for a spin. Now, I am going to start off in level 0 on pedal assist here. Just to, I want to see what this feels like to, ride it like a bike. This is also nice to know, if you have to ride it home without a battery because you ran out of charge. I don't know how you would manage to do that on this dual battery beast, but it could happen. So I've got it all the way cranked up into first gear here. So I'm gonna just start pedaling. Oh, I can tell you right away, it is this thing is just, it's a tank. It weighs 87 pounds with both batteries on here, and with this basic Shimano tourney drivetrain back here, I wouldn't want to pedal this for very far. And some of that's just me being too tall for it. As you can see here, I can't extend my range, or excuse me, I can't extend my legs fully, so it doesn't feel that great to pedal. This is a bike that you're going to want to rely on the electronics for. On that note, let's kick it on up here into level 1. And it, even level 1 is a decent amount of power here. Like it helps out quite a bit. The top speed is limited in level 1 to about 10 to 12 miles per hour. Whoa! Just threw the train off. Whoopsie. Okay, I think we are back in business here. It is easy to get the chain back on, having the rear stand at least. That was a little weird because we weren't, I don't think I even went over any bumps there. Okay, back to it. Chain looks to be, yeah, I can see the chain is just kind of stretched to the side a bit there when I'm in first gear. So hopefully it doesn't jump off again. Anyways, so riding in level 1 pedal assist here, I already need to shift up here, probably to third gear, because since it's a cadence sensor, the power doesn't modulate with how much pressure I put on the pedals. It's just kind of, if I'm pedaling after a few strokes, then it turns on full blast. Let me show you that delay that I was talking about with the pedal assist cadence sensor. Okay, so starting out here when I start pedaling, and I've actually got it turned up to level 3 just so the motor will be a little bit more loud. But I'll start pedaling here, little delay, then it kicks in. Same when I stop, there's a little bit of a delay. And you're going to get that kind of a delayed response on pretty much any system that has a cadence sensor. That's really the main drawback without having something more responsive like a torque sensor. Now, you can tell that I am a fan of torque sensing systems over cadence. That's my personal preference, but I don't want to make it sound like cadence is not good for anything. Sensors like this can actually be very popular for riders that maybe you had a knee injury, or your knees aren't as good as they used to be. Cadence sensors like this don't require you to put a lot of pressure on the pedals, so you can just be lightly cycling the pedals. That'll activate the pedal assist, so that can be really attractive for some folks that just aren't able to push hard on the pedals like they used to. Okay, starting out here again in level 1, shift up to 3 or so in the gears. Pretty easy to get up and cruise at right around 11-12 miles per hour here, and a really stable cockpit too. I mean, look at this. Usually on these smaller 20-inch wheels it can be a little hard to ride no-handed, but feels nice and stable on here, so I do like that. We're gonna kick the pedal assist on up another notch or 2. Let's jump up to level 2, and immediately we get a pretty noticeable kind of a jolt of power when you bump it to level 2, but then we reach that secondary top speed for level 2 of around 14 miles per hour, and then it just kind of fades off at about that point. Let's just keep going on up through the levels. We're definitely gonna have to, I mean, look at this, we're already up in 5th gear here, only in pedal assist level 2. Bumped up to 3, we get another boost of power, and this one will get us up to what, like 15, 16 miles per hour. I'm gonna just shift us all the way up into the highest gear. We're already up in gear 7, and we're nowhere close to the supposed top speed of 28 miles per hour yet. Let's jump it on up to 4. It's getting us up to about like 18 miles per hour, and then if we want to go up to level 5, it's gonna cap us out at right about 20. I'm gonna really pedal hard to try to go faster, and then you hear that, the motor pretty much stops at the 20 mile per hour mark. So it I checked their website today. It is supposed to be a class 3, 28 miles per hour. I thought maybe it's, you know, something in the display settings that needs to be changed. And I was trying to change that myself. You know, on a lot of displays, you can hold down the plus and minus here to get into display settings. Doesn't seem to work on here, so I'll chat with Haoqi about that, and you put some notes down in the description to get you an update on that. So I mentioned in the first part of the video that really what I don't like about this, the way that this pedal assist system is configured, is that you end up fiddling with the controls a lot, right? So we're still in level 5 here. So if I want to start out from a stop right here, then once the pedal assist kicks in, whoa, it's like, it's just drastic. And I mean, look how fast we're taking off. We're already over 15 miles per hour, which can be fun for those of us that are, you know, a little bit more on the adrenaline junkie side. But for most riders, that's overwhelming. You don't want to like be starting out in level 5 from a dead stop, which means if you are at a standstill like this, then okay, well, I've got to, you know, lower this down to at least 2 so it's not overwhelming, can get going. But then, you know, it's like, okay, well, I still want to be able to go 20 miles per hour, so now I've got to bump this back all the way up to 5 because that's the only way to get to the top speed of 20 miles per hour. So you just, you know, you end up just constantly going up and down through your pedal assist levels. So the way that I like to see these tuned, that is a lot easier to ride on, is to have each level give a different level of assist, but have it go up to the top speed, right? So for all the way down in level 1, you know, have that give us like, you know, 20% of the total power of the motor, but have that go all the way up to 20 miles per hour. That way, if you're wanting to just ride in a low level, but still ride at whatever speed you want, depending on the environment, you can easily do that. All right, we're going to try just some throttle only riding here, so what we can do on just the throttle. So I've got it in level 1 here. We'll just hammer on the throttle. Pretty relaxed start here, creeping on up. There's 10 miles per hour, and it's going to cap us out at right around 11, 12 or so. It's about as fast as you can go in level 1 on the throttle. And then, you know, as we keep bumping up the levels, here's level 2. We can go a little bit faster. We'll get up to, you know, 13, 14. We're not going to go through all of them here. We're actually going to just go ahead and jump all the way up to level 5. And we'll just see what we can do top speed wise. We'll come to a dead stop, and boom, here we go. It takes off pretty good. I mean, this motor's really got a lot of power. Boom, we're already up to 20 miles per hour. That is our top speed here on the throttle, which is what it's supposed to be here for a, you know, a legal class 2/class 3 hybrid bike. The motor is really loud on this bike. You know, this is my first time riding one of the motors from Banks, and it's a lot louder than competing products from Bafang, for sure. You know, it's not the loudest one that I've ridden on, but it's definitely in the realm of obnoxiously loud, where you're probably going to get sick of listening to it on long rides. You know, maybe you got some earmuffs on, or you're listening to music or something, which certainly helps. But it's going to get people's attention around you, which, depending on your point of view, can be a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, it lets people know that you're there, so you know they look out for you, which is nice. But you're going to have lots of heads turning to see, like, oh, what is that going by? Now, even though I am, you know, too tall to pedal very comfortably on this bike, it's still overall a very comfortable riding experience. Like, I like having this nice upright seating position here. The suspension fork up front, combined with the large 20-inch by 4-inch fat tires, that's a lot of air volume in there. It gives you quite a lot of extra kind of sort of suspension for the ride. And all of this is very good on a bike like this that has these dual batteries for at least 80 miles or more of total range. If you've got both of them in there, you want to be you want to be comfortable on something that you're going to be sitting on for that long. And while you probably won't be doing all of that in a single ride, it's nice to be able to you could ride this for maybe all week without having to even worry about charging it up. Alrighty folks, that is a wrap. Thanks for coming along on this review of the Haoqi Camel, the long-tail electric cargo bike. Now while I did have some nitpicks for, you know, the pedaling drivetrain has some room for improvement and the tuning of the electronics a bit, but you know, overall this is a really solid bike. I like the build quality. There's a lot of options for, you know, carrying cargo or hauling your kids around. I really like the lighting and signaling stuff that they have included on here, and it's very approachable. Like for a cargo bike that can haul 450 pounds of cargo to, you know, have this small of a footprint, especially to you can fold the stem down for storage, is really nice. And you know, nice approachable step through frame, definitely a plus. Like for someone who's a little bit on the smaller side, this is a really solid, you know, entry-level cargo bike. Now, you know the drill. If you've got questions about this bike, just let me know down in the comments section and I will get back to you. You can also check the description for a link to the full written review on our website, ridereview.com, where we've got you know, the written portion for this. We've got all the specs listed out, and we've got a lot more products on there from Haoqi that you can check out as well. All right, guys, ride safe. We'll catch you in the next video.